Hi everyone, I'm PJ. I am a software engineer at Cleo. A bit about me, I joined Cleo just over 2.5 years ago now, and it was my first job out of a coding bootcamp. Since I've been there, we've grown from a team of 12 to a team of almost 100, so it's been a real hell of a journey. Who is Cleo? What is Cleo? Cleo, very simply, is a chatbot / smart financial AI assistant, delete as you prefer, who really makes fun of your spending, as you can see here. And I say that Cleo makes fun of your spending, and it's a little bit of a joke, but it's also not a joke, because by doing this and by creating a chatbot, a product that talks to users in their language, Cleo is able to make money and user spending accessible and non-intimidating to them in a way that a lot of other financial services sort of don't. And so by creating this really engaging persona, engaging character, engaging tone of voice around this chatbot experience, we make money accessible to users. And then on top of that, we've layered on a bunch of other services and features that help users do all sorts of things with their money. So we've got tools to help you save. We have tools to help you budget. We have tools to help you manage your spending. You can ask Cleo about anything you like about your money. We can give users advances on their salary. We can help users understand their credit scores. And we just generally make money easier for our users to understand. That all sounds great. That's all well and good. But how do we go about doing that at Cleo? In order to make sure that we're sort of building the right things and focus on delivering value for our users, we have a set of engineering principles that we sort of follow to do this. The first among these, which this talk is going to focus on today, is doing the simple thing. And what that means is, for us, that is not over engineering things. That's focusing on what can we do that's going to deliver value to the user, that's going to maybe not be the most beautiful code ever, but it is going to enable us to learn or enable the users to benefit in some way. A lot of the team, sort of all of the team at Cleo, are very conscious of the fact that our users are very financially vulnerable. And so our code being beautiful doesn't make a difference to them. What does make a difference to them is our code being in their hands. Doing the simple thing first might often incur accumulating some technical debt. And at Cleo, we believe that accumulating technical debt is and can be useful when done in the right way. There are certainly tons of places in our code base at Cleo that has a lot of tech debt around it, but they're places of the code base that don't move very often. They don't change much. They're there and they work and they're not beautiful, but they do their job. And so there's really no need for us to go back and modify them when we could be spending our finite time working on something else more impactful for our users. That takes me on to our third principle, which is being considerate coders. And we don't deliberately accumulate tech debt. And if we're working in an area of the code base that is going to be sort of touched by other people in the near future, or is going to be fast moving, we'll try to signpost things. We'll try to make things easy to modify. We'll try to make things easy to understand. However, that's not always the case. And so when that sort of doesn't work out, we're there to help each other. We're there to help each other understand bits of the code. There's no one at Cleo who understands the entire code base, and everyone is always sort of there and available to be there for each other. And our final principle is that we innovate in our product and not our tech stack. And so we have a very tried and tested and very unsexy tech stack at Cleo. We have React and React Native for our front end, and Rails on our back end. And these principles are what we use to sort of guide our development at Cleo to help us deliver value for our users. So doing the simple thing, this is something that's really been at the core of the engineering culture at Cleo ever since I started 2.5 years ago, and was part of the culture before that. And it served us incredibly well to be able to grow to the more than 3 million users who we have now. And to really demonstrate the power of doing the simple thing, what I thought I would do is, instead of just talking to you about it, let's actually write some code. What we're going to do with writing this code is write ourselves a command line chatbot in 5 minutes that is going to look somewhat similar to what Cleo originally looked like, and a radically simplified version of what some of like the core bits of logic that drive the chatbot part of Cleo look like now. So without further ado, let's jump over to an editor and a terminal and get going. So I've got here an empty skeleton project. There's the root directory, there's a main.rb file, which is empty, and there's an app directory, which is empty. So just to start with, what we're going to do is have a little welcome message that's going to say, hello world, because this is a talk to developers and everyone loves a little hello world reference in a developer talk. What we're going to do then is just write ourselves a little loop and say message from the user is the user's input. And this is going to be, at this very first point, a really dumb chatbot. The chatbot is just going to parrot back at the user what the user said to them, and it's going to do that after a half second delay to make it look like the chatbot is smart and has thought about what it's saying back. So if we then do that and run main.rb, we can see we've got a chatbot that says hello world, and I can say hello chatbot, and it will say it back to me. Super simple. It's not very exciting conversation. So let's see if we can do something a little bit smarter. So if we kill that loop, and the first thing that we want to do with our chatbot is to try to understand what it is that the user said. And so to do that, what we're going to have is a little class that's going to take care of classifying or labeling the message from the user. So if we make ourselves a new file, and let's call it message classifier. And we've got our message classifier here. Let's pop that next door so we can see what's going on. And we've got a message classifier. And that's going to take a message that we're going to classify. This is also the first time I've ever done any live coding, so I really hope that, like, you know, this I don't screw this up in any way, because this is really stressful. And this message classifier class is going to have one public-facing method. It's going to have a single interface, which is going to be the classify method. And the classify method is just going to return us a very simple structure. It's going to return us a hash with the text, which is just going to be the message. And it's going to return us a label. And that label is going to be the label that we decide on. Let's make this a private method. And we'll say if message.downcase.include hello, then the label that we'll apply is going to be labels hello. That doesn't exist yet. If it doesn't, we're going to say labels unknown. So let's make our labels class just to keep it nice and separate. And we'll have our labels in here. Let's put them here so we can see them again, and put them in a module. Unknown equals unknown, and hello equals hello, and then we'll just need to require this file in here, and in here we'll need to, let's not go there yet. But so here we've got a very basic class that is just taking a message and it's applying a label to it. And you can imagine this if-else statement sort of growing over time. And then once we've got a classified message, what we need to do is to understand how we're going to reply to this message. So let's make ourselves another class called message responder. And let's get our message responder out here. And that's going to take the classified message that we created before. And that is going to then have a single public method again called respond. In a real world application, I might make these service objects to give them a bit of a nicer interface. But for the moment, that's sort of fine here. So we make sure we can access our classify message. And when we're responding, all we're going to do is just put the message. What is the message? Well, the message is just going to be a basic map. We're going to map our labels to a string of text. And that's going to be, we're going to access the label in there, and we're just going to say that the label is classified messages label property. Once we plug these in, this should all work, fingers crossed. So let's give that a go. So let's require, this is going to need to require the labels as well. I've just noticed that this file is spelled incorrectly. We're missing classifier. That's fine. So let's require these. Let's require these two files, and we can use them in here. Message equals gets.chomp, and then we're going to say message response message classifier dot new with message dot classify, and we're going to assign that to a variable called classified message. And then again, after our little sleep, we are going to say message responder dot new classified message dot respond, and hopefully that should give us a functioning chatbot. So let's run that again, and we've got our hello world message, and we can say hello robot. And something's wrong. Hooray. What has gone wrong? I ran through this yesterday, and it worked. Given 1, expected 0. Have I misspelled initialize? I've misspelled initialize is what I've done. And I've done that there as well. Initialize. Here we go. And now I can type hello robot. And the robot will say hey there, and I can say something else. And the robot says excuse me. And that is our functioning chatbot that we've made in just over 5 minutes, which is pretty cool. So to get back to it, how do we take this further at Cleo? I've obviously just shown you there like an incredibly rudimentary example. So what do we do further? We have entity detection, so that if a user asks, for example, how much have I spent at Sainsbury's in the last week, we know that the user's talking about the last week, and we've got a time period there, and we know that the user's talking about Sainsbury's, and so we want to look through their Sainsbury's transactions from the last week and surface that information back up to them. Again, that's something that started really, really straightforward with basic if-else statements, and is now extracted out to a machine learning service that exists in SageMaker. We also have machine learning classification for messages. So instead of just having a basic if message contains hello, call it hello, we have a machine learning classifier to label these messages. We've got custom-built software for copywriters, so that we can iterate on the copy of our messages, which, as I mentioned earlier, sort of provide the real core to that user experience without needing any developer input at all there. We built in support for understanding context, so that if you're in the middle of a conversation with Cleo and you type a message, Cleo should be aware of the context in which you've typed that message and be able to respond appropriately. And we've also built in rich messages and really pushed the boundary of what a message can be. So some of them come with sort of graphs of your spending. Other messages, you receive them, and then it will apply an entire theme to the whole app. And so these are just some of the ways that we've iterated on this like very simple base each one always going like a single step at the time, that's evolved into something quite sophisticated now. And so to take it back to our principles, doing the simple thing, technical today is useful. We're considerate coders, we help each other, we innovate on our product and not our tech stack. If any or all of these principles resonate at all with you, then we're hiring and we'd love to speak to you. So come chat to me afterwards. I'll be hanging out in the on-stage area. And if you'd like to chat about anything in my talk, again, I'd love to speak to you about that. Thank you very much for listening and have a great rest of your day, everyone.
We have one late question from Francesco. If you had to rebuild Cleo, would you stick to your tech stack?
I would say absolutely, yeah. Rails, most of my time is spent working on the back end, and Rails has been phenomenal for just getting out of the way for us and letting us do our own custom stuff. The bit that makes Cleo really sort of sparkle and shine, and just getting out of the way and letting us sort of really iterate quickly on that. So yeah, absolutely 100%. I love our super simple, super plain, super boring, super unsexy tech stack. It's wonderful.